Hey, Utah Mammoth fans, Tusks up, and welcome back to another Utah Mammoth Daily. All right, so today, as I'm recording this, is the day after the season opener, opening night, whatever you want to call it, for the Utah Mammoth. So I'm going to do a little bit of a post-mortem after that game. And so let's get this out of the way. It wasn't a collapse, it wasn't a meltdown, and it wasn't a lack of effort. This was a young team showing a few opening night nerves against a powerhouse. The first period looked rough. The Mammoth played like a team that knew who was on the other bench. They knew it was Nathan McKinnon and Kale Makar over on the other side. The Avs still have that aura about them, and they will so long as those two guys are skating for the Avalanche. And Utah looked a little starstruck early on. Colorado controlled the tempo, and the Mammoth struggled to connect on clean exits or sustain possession. But credit to them, they didn't fold, even after that first goal. The second period steadied out, and by the third, Utah was pushing back pretty hard. For a road opener in a tough building, that's a sign of maturity. This wasn't the kind of loss that leaves you discouraged. It's one that says, okay, the potential is real. Now we really need to tighten up the details. And that's very true. It wasn't a 6-1 drubbing like the Kings took against the Avalanche. So it was a very encouraging loss, and I'm going to talk about some of the encouraging things about that loss. Obviously, it wasn't a win, so we can't be fully happy about it, but there are things we can be happy about. So let's talk about Dylan Guenther first. I'm very pleased by what I saw from Dylan Guenther against the Avalanche. Not only the power play goal, which I will talk about here, but also how he performed on the penalty kill, how he performed defensively. He did have a couple of mistakes. He did. He's still young, though. But overall, I was very encouraged by his performance. He's taking on a new role. He wants to be on the ice more. And so he's trying to do what he can to just be on the ice and cause problems. So his goal was picture perfect. A one-timer off of a clean Clayton Keller. Wow, say that 5 times fast. Face-off win right at the start of the power play. That's exactly how Utah drew it up, really. Keller wins the puck after the faceoff got all muddied. Guenther drifts into the open soft spot, and bang, the Mammoth are on the board. What I loved wasn't just the finish, it was Guenther's confidence. He looked composed in high-pressure moments, and even when the Avalanche hemmed Utah in, Guenther wasn't shying away from battles or contact. He's starting to look like the guy I predicted, a 40-plus goal scorer who's not afraid to mix it up. I'm very excited about the season ahead for Dylan Guenther. The chemistry between him and Keller on the power play already looks like a weapon. If that pairing continues to click, Utah's power play could be lethal. So yeah, it's a loss, but that's a power play goal and performance that travels. If Guenther and Keller keep feeding off each other like that, we're going to be seeing a lot of that combo on highlight reels as we go throughout this season. Now, let's move it along to the face-off frustrations, the big stat that I'm seeing a lot of Mammoth fans talk about, and that's Logan Cooley for the most part. Logan Cooley went 0 for 13 on face-offs against Colorado. Yeah, a big fat goose egg. And look, it's one game, but it's not a new issue. Cooley struggled in the dot last season too. And if Utah wants to be taken seriously as a playoff contender, that number has to improve. And everybody knows it. Logan Cooley knows it too. It's especially on special teams, though, and late game situations. You can't have your number one center getting eaten alive on draws, which he did last night, as of me recording. If Kevin Stenlund has to consistently come in to take key face-offs during power plays or goalie pull situations, that throws off the rhythm and positioning of the top unit. Now, Cooley's still young. He's only 21, and he's got time to figure it out. But this is one of those foundational stats that can quietly make or break a season. Possession starts with the puck drop. Everybody knows that. And Utah can't afford to chase games because they keep losing them right off the dot. So that is something we definitely need Clayton Keller to kind of rope in the youngins and tell them, hey, we really need to win these. I know you know that, but focus. Drown out the crowd noise. The ref is going to play those stupid, fisherman games with the puck. Oh, I'm going to drop it. Oh, I'm going to drop it. I hate that. That is like the one thing in hockey I hate the most is the refs like, oh, I'm going to drop it. Oh, I'm going to drop it. And then he's like, oh, you cheated, and now you have to leave the circle. It's the most annoying thing. Just drop the puck, get on with the game. Seriously. And then for both teams last night, it was a frustration because both teams always had a guy kicked out of the dot, always throughout the game, and neither team was happy about it. It's just like, what are you doing? This isn't funny. It's not fun. The crowd hates it. Just drop the dang puck so we can get on with the game. Like, that's one of my biggest annoyances with the NHL and the officiating. Anyway, that was a tangent, and let's move on. So now let's move on to the final segment here, fixing the details, communication, chemistry, and closing out games with confidence. So let's zoom out. The Mammoth lost 2-1 in a game they easily could have tied or even won late. That's encouraging, but the details still need work. The first goal Utah gave up, completely avoidable. A communication breakdown that can't happen if you want to be in the playoff mix come April. It's not about talent. It's about trust and awareness. Those are fixable mistakes, but they have to get cleaned up and fast. Dylan Gunther not covering for Naismith as they were going back when the Avalanche got into a rush. That just can't happen. It just can't. Then there's the ongoing storylines to watch. The team went all of last season without scoring once with the goalie pulled. They were the only team in the NHL that couldn't score with the man advantage late in the game. They had multiple chances in this game to change that as well. Almost 3.5 full minutes and couldn't finish. It looked hectic. It looked confused. It looked like nobody was really in charge for the Mammoth, and the puck was just flying every which way. They couldn't get it into the offensive zone and then keep it. There was no puck movement. So that is definitely something to keep track of as we move forward, because if Utah can fix that, they will get one or two of those 2 games they lost in overtime last year back, and that's 4 points. So that's something that definitely needs to be fixed. Those small sample stats add up over a season. If Utah can find ways to execute late in games, that'll turn a 2-1 loss into a 3-2 win, or even a 3-2 overtime loss, which is still a point. Still, this opener showed something bigger. The Mammoth didn't collapse in the second period like they often did last year and even in the preseason. They held firm, they adjusted, and they gave themselves a shot. That's progress. And progress is exactly what you want to see in Game 1 of 82. So all things considered, Utah starts 0-1, but there's no reason to panic. Gunther looked great. Keller looked like a leader, and Cooley's got some learning to do. If the communication sharpens and the face-off numbers improve, the results will come, and soon. And I know the communication's only going to improve the more these guys play together, but the face-off numbers, those need to be improved. I know guys were missing. Barrett Hayton wasn't there. Alexander Kerfoot wasn't there. So that's 2 face-off guys that the Mammoth didn't have. But Logan Cooley's got to bring that number up. So that's Utah Mammoth Daily for today. Thanks for watching. Tusks up, and I'll see you all tomorrow.